Yeah, there's a massive airplane just sitting in the grass. It's an eyesore. My HOA authority covers abandoned vehicles. I want it towed today.
The B-17 Flying Fortress gleamed under the morning sun, its tail emblazoned with the Smithsonian institution emblem. Within the hour, a heavy-duty flatbed rolled through the gate. The driver, Rick, stepped out and stared at the bomber with growing disbelief.
Lady, you want me to tow a World War II bomber? This ain't no abandoned car. This is a museum piece.
I don't care if it's the spirit of St. Louis. HOA rules are clear. No derelict vehicles on the property. Hook it up.
Reluctantly, Rick attached the winch cable to the landing gear. The tow truck's hydraulics whined as the bomber began to move. The tail section scraped against the trailer's edge. A sharp crack echoed across the field as the rudder splintered. One propeller blade bent with a groan of tortured metal. The B-17, once airworthy, now listed on the flatbed like a broken trophy.
Oh man, that's gonna cost someone a fortune.
Rebecca didn't flinch. She checked her clipboard, made a note, then slid into her SUV with the satisfied smile of someone who just ticked a box. 2 hours later, Kenneth Reeves turned his pickup onto his estate. The hangar stood open, the apron empty. His B-17 was gone.
No, that's not possible.
He found it at the county impound lot, chained to a flatbed like a carnival prize. The tail section was cracked, propeller bent, the Smithsonian stencil marred by a scrape. She looked like a wounded warbird.
Unbelievable. They dragged her like scrap. Rebecca Hartwell, you towed a World War II bomber on loan from the Smithsonian. Do you understand what you've done?
It was abandoned, Mr. Reeves. OA policy doesn't distinguish between a junk car and a whatever that is. It's impounded now.
You just made the worst mistake of your life.
Kenneth photographed every damaged rivet, every splintered strut. Then he dialed the Smithsonian.
Kenneth, I just got your text. Please tell me the B-17 is still on your property.
She's at the impound lot, tail cracked, prop bent. Elena, they treated her like a junkyard heap. I need the Smithsonian's full authority here.
Kenneth, I am calling the FBI art crime team right now. She's inventoried federal cultural property. This is not a simple misunderstanding.
Within 40 minutes, a black SUV with government plates pulled into the impound lot. Special Agent Marcus Cole stepped out, his face a mask of professional calm. He circled the B-17 slowly, photographing the splintered tail, the bent propeller, the Smithsonian stencil now scarred by a deep gash. His jaw tightened with every click.
Ma'am, are you Rebecca Hartwell? This aircraft is federal cultural property under 18 U.S.C. Section 668. You've committed a federal crime.
A federal crime? For towing an abandoned plane? This is ridiculous. HOA rules clearly state,
HOA rules do not supersede federal law. This B-17 is inventoried national cultural property. You towed it, damaged it, and impounded it. You are now a suspect in an art crime investigation.
art crime? Suspect? This can't be happening.
2 FBI evidence techs sealed the flatbed with yellow tape. Stenciled letters on the tape read, "Federal Cultural Property, do not move."
This aircraft is now federal evidence. The tow company, your HOA, and you personally are named. I suggest you get a lawyer.
Rebecca Hartwell stood alone in the gravel lot, the yellow tape a garish frame around the wounded bomber. The federal seal beside the Smithsonian insignia seemed to burn into her retinas. The next morning, the Smithsonian's legal team descended on the federal courthouse. Dr. Elena Vasquez led the charge, a $42 million civil suit in hand.
This bomber represents the lives of 10 airmen. The damage is extensive, and the responsible parties will be held fully accountable.
Within hours, the story broke nationwide. The banner on every screen read, "Ho Ho, Officer Tao's World War II bomber. Smithsonian sues for $42 million."
Rebecca Hartwell acted entirely outside her authority. The HOA board had no knowledge of this reckless action. We are cooperating fully with investigators.
This aircraft is not just metal. She's a living piece of history. They dragged her through the dirt like an abandoned refrigerator.
The Smithsonian will pursue maximum damages under federal cultural property law. This is a warning to anyone who disregards our nation's heritage.
Rebecca Hartwell watched the broadcast from her living room. Her pink blazer lay crumpled on the couch, the confident woman from the morning gone.
They're going to destroy me. Every asset, every penny, all for towing a stupid plane.
The press conference ended, but the legal war had only begun. Kenneth Reeves folded the loan agreement with the red-circled federal seal and walked out into the harsh afternoon sun. Rebecca Hartwell's name was now paired with a $42 million price tag that no HOA policy could erase. The public, the press, and the law had turned against her. The certified lawsuit arrived, but beneath it lay an envelope from her insurer. The red stamp read, "Willful destruction of cultural property. Coverage denied."
They can't deny coverage. I was enforcing HOA rules. That's not willful destruction. I didn't know it was a museum piece. So I am personally on the hook for $42 million. This can't be happening.
She slammed the phone down and drove straight to the HOA office. Patricia Lang sat behind her mahogany desk, expression already hardening.
Patricia, the HOA's DNO policy, it covers enforcement actions, right? I was acting on behalf of the board.
Our legal counsel has reviewed it. Willful destruction of federal property is excluded. You acted outside protocol. You are on your own.
My home, my savings, everything. It's all going to be taken.
She stood in the parking lot, the manicured hedges mocking her. No insurance, no HOA support, and an FBI investigation building. The reality clawed through her denial.
I towed a plane. One stupid decision, and I am facing financial annihilation.
Rebecca Hartwell had entered this fight with a clipboard and a smirk. She was leaving it facing a $42 million abyss with no safety net. That evening, the HOA convened a closed emergency session. Attorney Howard Crane addressed the board, his legal brief grim. The board must terminate Rebecca's enforcement authority immediately. Her actions have exposed the HOA to multi-million-dollar liability.
I was enforcing our covenants. You authorized my position. You owe me protection from this lawsuit.
We owe the community a resolution. This vote confirms you acted outside your scope. Your association ends tonight.
The vote was unanimous. Her access card was deactivated, her desk cleared, her title erased.
You are all cowards. I'll sue this board for breach of duty.
Any such claim would be frivolous. You are now a liability to this HOA. Security will escort you out.
She gathered her personal items, a nameplate, a plant, the pink blazer that now felt like a costume, and walked out.
My career, my network, my income, all gone. And still that 42 million figure burns in my mind.
In the parking lot, the boardroom lights flicked off behind her. The HOA had shut the door forever. She was truly alone. 2 days later, Agent Cole brought Rick into an FBI field office. The tow driver sat under harsh fluorescent light, his cap twisted in his hands.
I told her it was a museum piece. I told her she was making a huge mistake, but she just kept saying, "Hook it up. It's abandoned."
Did she acknowledge any understanding that the Smithsonian seal meant federal protection?
She laughed. Said the HOA doesn't care about stickers. She had a job to do.
Cole slid a photocopied statement across the table. It was from the estate's neighbor, a retired historian who'd warned Rebecca the day before.
This witness confirms she was told the plane was irreplaceable, national property. She chose to proceed anyway. That's willful conduct.
She knew. She absolutely knew. And she didn't care. I should have walked away.
Willful ignorance is not a defense. This case just went from accidental to intentional.
Agent Cole closed his notepad with a snap. The evidence of willful destruction was now plain. The FBI's case against Rebecca Hartwell had gained the one element that turned a mistake into a federal crime. She knew, and she did it anyway.
This is B-17, tail number 42 to 32,076. It flew 25 missions over Germany. Inventoried federal cultural property. Smithsonian number NS-134,829. 10 men gave their lives in this aircraft. The damage inflicted by Rebecca Hartwell goes beyond metal. It desecrates a national monument.
Every major network carried the clip. The Chiron read, "Federal cultural property destroyed." The B-17's war record became a national topic of outrage.
Under federal law, willful destruction of cultural property carries criminal penalties. The FBI has confirmed Ms. Hartwell was warned and proceeded anyway.
Within hours, the interview went viral. A composite image of Rebecca smirking beside the wounded bomber appeared everywhere, paired with the $42 million price tag. The hashtag number "Justice for the Bomber" trended. Veterans groups called for the maximum sentence. The court of public opinion had already rendered its verdict. Pundits called her the HOA Karen who bombed heritage. Her personal social media accounts were flooded with threats. She disabled them all. The Smithsonian released the full inventory file. Each mission log, each crew photo, each rivet documented. The plane's value was beyond monetary. No one spoke in Rebecca's defense. Her attorney released a statement calling for privacy, but it was drowned out by the roar of condemnation. Rebecca Hartwell's name had become shorthand for cultural vandalism, and the FBI's arrest warrant was only a signature away.
Based on the evidence, I am requesting a warrant under 18 U.S.C. 668, willful destruction, cultural property.
The U.S. attorney approved within the hour. The arrest warrant for Rebecca Hartwell was printed and signed.
We move tonight. She's at home. No heavy force needed, but take no chances. She's facing federal charges.
3 black SUVs rolled out of the FBI field office, lights off, heading for a suburban cul-de-sac. The convoy turned onto Elmwood Drive, past manicured lawns. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Agents approached Rebecca's front door, the warrant folded in an inside pocket. The doorbell was about to ring. Inside, Rebecca sat in her darkened living room, unaware that the federal hammer was seconds from falling.
Why do I feel like something terrible is about to happen?
The doorbell shattered the silence. 3 chimes, each one a nail in her coffin. Rebecca Hartwell's world was about to implode. The arrest of the HOA Karen would be the final act of her freedom. Rebecca opened the door. Agent Cole stood silhouetted against the porch light, his badge held forward.
Rebecca Hartwell, you are under arrest for willful destruction of federal cultural property under 18 U.S.C. Section 668.
This is a mistake. I am an HOA enforcement officer. I have authority.
She tried to retreat, but 2 more agents stepped forward, taking her arms.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
The handcuffs clicked shut around her wrists. The sound was final. Neighbors gathered on lawns, phones raised, capturing the moment the HOA Karen became a federal prisoner.
This isn't real. This cannot be real.
They placed her in the back of the black SUV. The door slammed, cutting off the sound of her own name being shouted by the crowd. 2 hours later, Rebecca Hartwell sat in a holding cell, her pink blazer exchanged for an orange jumpsuit. The smirk was gone forever. The next morning, her attorney, Howard Crane, met her in a small windowless room. Her orange jumpsuit was a stark contrast to his tailored suit.
Tell me this is a nightmare I can wake up from. Tell me there's a way out.
The charge is a federal misdemeanor under 18 U.S.C. 668, willful destruction. It carries up to 12 months in federal prison.
12 months. That's a year of my life. Can't we fight this? I was just doing my job.
The FBI has a rock-solid case. The neighbor warned you. The driver warned you. You ignored the Smithsonian seal. The jury will see willful conduct. And even if you avoid prison, the civil suit will strip everything. Your home, your savings, your certifications, all gone.
My career is dead. My reputation is destroyed. I am going to die penniless and alone.
The U.S. attorney might consider a plea. Guilty. Surrender your certifications. Cooperate with the civil case. It could keep you out of jail.
Plead guilty. Then I am a convicted criminal with nothing. No job, no home, no future.
The choice pressed down on her. A trial she'd lose, or a plea that would erase every trace of her old life. Either way, Rebecca Hartwell was finished. 3 days later, in a sterile deposition room, Rebecca sat between her attorney and a court reporter. Opposite them, Dr. Elena Vasquez laid out a stack of photographs.
Miss Hartwell, isn't it true that you were warned this aircraft was on loan from the Smithsonian?
I was told it was a museum piece, but I believed it was abandoned. The HOA rules.
And yet, you told the tow driver, I don't care if it's the spirit of St. Louis. Do you recall that statement?
Elena clicked a remote. The deposition screen flickered to life, showing Rebecca's smirk as the tail of the B-17 scraped the pavement.
That video is damning. I look like a monster.
Do you now understand that the aircraft was federal cultural property, not an abandoned vehicle?
I made a mistake. I didn't know it was protected by federal law.
But the neighbor, a historian, told you it was irreplaceable. You ignored him. That's willful, not a mistake.
The court reporter's keys stopped clicking. In that silence, Rebecca Hartwell's civil liability became undeniable. The only path left was surrender. The next day, Kenneth Reeves walked into the HOA conference room. Patricia Lang and the board sat waiting, their faces tight with dread.
And the Smithsonian will settle the civil suit for $7.8 million, but only if Rebecca pleads guilty to the criminal charge and sells her home to contribute.
$7.8 million. That will drain our reserves. The homeowners will revolt. We can't just hand over that kind of money.
Your director's insurance won't cover this. If we go to trial, the judgment could bankrupt the HOA. Each homeowner would pay. This is the only way out.
Patricia looked at the numbers on the proposal. The alternative was a financial apocalypse for everyone in the community.
If we agree, the board will need a formal resolution, but Rebecca must accept first. Has her lawyer explained this? Surrender.
Across town, in a holding cell, Rebecca Hartwell listened as her attorney laid out the brutal calculus. Plead guilty, sell the home, pay the settlement.
I'll lose everything, every penny, my career, any shred of dignity. But if I don't, I'll rot in a cell anyway.
I'll use every dollar to build an aviation museum on my land. The bomber will be restored, and kids will learn about our history. It's the only good that can come of this.
We'll draft the agreement. If Miss Hartwell accepts by tomorrow, the board will vote. But understand, we do this under protest.
At her lawyer's office, Rebecca Hartwell stared at the federal guilty plea. The pen felt like a sledgehammer in her fingers.
One stroke and I lose everything.
She pressed the pen and signed. Then she surrendered her real estate license and HOA certification, dropping them into the revocation box without ceremony. The state licensing board confirmed receipt that hour. Rebecca Hartwell was no longer an agent, no longer an officer, just a defendant. A realtor's listing appeared online that afternoon. Her 4-bedroom colonial was priced to move, every dollar earmarked for the settlement.
My home. The one place I felt safe from the world.
By 6 p.m., the HOA issued a terse statement. The board had voted to transfer $7.8 million to the trust account. The emailed release read, "The association deeply regrets the incident but must prioritize long-term solvency. All legal defenses are hereby withdrawn."
I am $42 million poorer and a convicted criminal. There's no coming back.
The plea was filed at the federal courthouse that night. Rebecca Hartwell now had nothing. No career, no assets, no future. Only the weight of what she'd done. The following morning, the HOA board signed the settlement. $7.8 million was committed to the trust account, the pen a surrender flag.
This is the hardest vote I've ever cast, but it's the only way to protect our homeowners from financial ruin.
The wire transfer confirmation pinged on Kenneth's laptop an hour later. He closed the screen, drove to a lumberyard, and began loading his truck.
We're going to build something that lasts. A museum where kids can walk through history, not just read about it.
By week's end, heavy machinery had leveled the ground beside his hangar. A sign proclaimed, Reeves Aviation Preservation Trust, future home of the B-17 Flying Fortress. The restoration crew arrived. 6 veterans, 2 Smithsonian technicians, and a young mechanic who'd learned on his granddad's stories of the war.
Every rivet we replace, we're not just fixing a plane, we're honoring the men who flew her.
The settlement funds stretched further than expected. An education center, a display hall, and a memorial wall for 10 airmen were added to the plans.
Elena, the foundation is poured. The museum will be ready by spring. I want school tours to start the day we open.
The groundbreaking ceremony was small. Just Kenneth, a handful of veterans, and a backhoe. But for everyone who knew the story, it was the first real victory. For 6 weeks, the restoration team worked with surgical precision. New aluminum skin replaced the gouged fuselage. The bent propeller was reforged, the tail reconstructed rivet by rivet.
See that scar? That's where she took flak over Berlin. Every dent tells a story. We don't erase them, we heal them.
The new hangar rose alongside, a modern steel skeleton wrapped in glass. Inside, a climate-controlled gallery space took shape.
This gallery will hold the logs, the photos, the letters. The next generation needs to see the faces behind the machine.
Volunteers installed interactive displays, a restored Norden bomb site, and a life-size diorama of a 1944 mission briefing room.
My grandfather would have stood right here and cried.
On the final day of restoration, an FAA inspector crawled through every system. 4 hours later, he handed Kenneth a single piece of paper. The certificate read, Airworthiness Certificate, B-17G Flying Fortress. This aircraft meets all federal requirements for flight.
She's ready. After everything they did to her, she's ready to fly again.
The Smithsonian loan was renewed for a permanent display. A museum had risen from the wreckage, and a nation's memory had been reclaimed, one rivet at a time. On opening day, a red ribbon stretched across the hangar entrance. 300 people waited, children clutching paper pilots, veterans in garrison caps.
With this ribbon, we open not just a museum, but a living classroom. Welcome to the Reeves Aviation Preservation Trust.
The crowd streamed in. Children gasped at the massive silver bomber. Veterans stood a little straighter, eyes glistening.
Go ahead, climb in. That's the radio man's seat. A 19-year-old kid sat there over occupied France.
A small hand traced the instrument panel. A veteran nearby removed his cap and held it to his chest. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood near the wing, watching. The Smithsonian loan document, now framed, hung beside the main entrance.
None of this would exist without the law that protects our heritage. The Smithsonian trusted us, and we delivered.
School groups had already booked the spring tour. Every Thursday, a new busload of kids would step into history.
Grandpa, your land just became a permanent classroom.
The B-17 sat at the center of it all. No longer a wounded artifact, but a teacher, a testament to the power of fighting back. Rebecca Hartwell sat in a cramped studio apartment, the television barely 10 feet away. A news helicopter hovered over a gleaming new hangar. The screen showed children in vintage aviator caps climbing into the B-17 cockpit. The anchor called it a triumph of preservation over arrogance.
That could have been my community project. I could have cut that ribbon.
Kenneth Reeves appeared on camera, standing beside the restored tail section. He didn't mention her name. He didn't need to. A veteran in a wheelchair touched the fuselage. His hand trembled, and the camera caught the number of missions stenciled beneath the window.
I saw rust and regulations. They see sacrifice.
She hadn't moved in 20 minutes. The remote lay beside her, batteries long dead, The segment ended with a slow zoom on the Smithsonian loan agreement, the red circle around the federal seal filling the screen. A single tear slid from Rebecca's eye. Not for the cameras, not for sympathy, just a private admission that she had been catastrophically wrong. Rebecca Hartwell, once the enforcer of HOA perfection, now sat alone in a room that wasn't hers, watching a legacy she could only observe from the outside. Special Agent Cole slid the final order into the thick case file. The FBI's work on this matter was done. The tow company had paid a fine, and their insurance covered the civil damages. The HOA's settlement was fully executed. The Smithsonian's formal statement read, "Justice has been served. Our heritage is protected."
This case wasn't about punishment. It's about prevention. The museum is the real victory.
The federal judge signed the final judgment, closing both the criminal and civil dockets. All terms had been met. Cole stamped the cover with bold red letters, "Case closed." He slid the file into the cabinet among hundreds of others.
One tow truck, one arrogant decision, and a community built something better from the wreckage.
The FBI art crime team added the Hartwell case to its training materials as a precedent for cultural property protection. Outside the museum, a yellow school bus pulled in. Inside the FBI office, a cabinet drawer slid shut. Justice had not merely been served, it had been transformed into a living lesson that would endure long after the case file gathered dust. The federal courtroom fell silent as the judge read the final order. The $7.8 million settlement was confirmed, the HOA's liability satisfied. Rebecca Hartwell's conviction for willful destruction of federal cultural property was entered into the permanent record. The judge looked over the courtroom, then spoke directly to the parties. "This court finds that all terms have been met. The civil and criminal matters are hereby resolved. This case is closed." The gallery held its breath. The court reporter's fingers fell still. Outside, the sun broke through the windows.
It's over. I'm officially a convicted criminal, and I will carry this for the rest of my life.
Kenneth turned to Elena Vasquez. Without words, they shook hands, a quiet acknowledgement that the law had worked.
Thank you, Elena. The museum wouldn't exist without the Smithsonian's resolve.
It exists because you refuse to let history be erased. That's the real victory.
Rebecca Hartwell slipped out a side door alone. Outside, a school bus full of children was already heading toward the museum. On a bright spring morning, 2 yellow school buses pulled up to the hangar. The doors hissed open, and a flood of children poured onto the tarmac. Their laughter echoed off the metal walls. Paper pilot hats wobbled on heads as they lined up, each clutching a small American flag. Kenneth stood in the hangar doorway, a clipboard under his arm. But he wasn't checking attendance. He was memorizing every face.
Come on up, little man. That's the bombardier's seat. A 19-year-old kid looked through that same glass.
A boy slid into the seat, his small hands dwarfed by the control yoke. Kenneth guided his fingers to the trigger switch. Nearby, a veteran in a wheelchair began to speak not about the war, but about coming home. The children gathered around him, silent.
They get it now. They understand that this plane isn't just metal.
He stepped back, letting the kids press against the fuselage. A small hand traced the mission marks painted beneath the tail gun.
Grandpa, I hope you can see this. Your land is exactly where it belongs.
The camera pulled back, framing the B-17 in a shaft of sunlight. Children circled it. Veterans watched from the gallery, and for a moment, the hangar felt less like a museum and more like a promise. On the wall of the museum, a single framed document hung alone. The red circle around the federal seal caught the light behind the glass. The B-17's engines thundered to life. Propellers blurred into silver discs, and the ground crew stepped away. The bomber taxied slowly from the hangar, its shadow passing over the grassy apron where it once sat wounded. Wheels lifted from the earth. The B-17 climbed into a cloudless sky, its fuselage gleaming like polished history. Through the cockpit window, The pilot's silhouette was just visible, a veteran returning to the sky. The camera pulled back to the framed loan agreement, the B-17 shrinking to a distant cross in the air above it. For a long moment, the red circle around the federal seal seemed to glow, the anchor that had held everything together. The screen faded slowly to black, leaving only the gentle sound of 4 engines carving a path through the past. A single line of text appeared. There were no credits, no names, just the truth. Because one man kept his paperwork, a nation kept its memory.